In this video, I'm going to talk to you about a few math properties that we have learned. The first property I'm going to discuss would be something that looks like 5 plus 0 equals 5. This particular property is learned very early on in math, where students learn that any number added to 0, is equal to that number. It doesn't matter what that number is you add to 0. The sum of a number and 0 is always going to be that number. And this property is called your identity property of addition. In words, it says any number added to 0 is that number. The next property that we've learned is 7 times 1 is equal to 7. In this particular problem, any number, doesn't matter what the number is, multiplied by 1, the product of that number and 1 is always going to be that number. And this is called your identity property of multiplication. In words, it says any number multiplied by 1 is that number. Another property that students have learned very early on is 10 times 0 is equal to 0. This particular property, this is a numerical example. If I said any number multiplied by 0, their product is going to be 0. This property is called your multiplicative property of 0. Sometimes just called our zero property of multiplication. In words, it says any number multiplied by 0 is always 0. Another property students have learned through the years is if they take any whole number, let's take 5, and I multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 1 over 5, then their product is going to be 1. So if I take any number and multiply it by its reciprocal, their product is always going to be 1. This property is called your multiplicative inverse. Sometimes just called your inverse property of multiplication. And it says any number multiplied by its reciprocal the result is 1. One that students have learned in the past couple of years, if they take any number and add it to its opposite then their sum is going to be 0. So any number added to its opposite, the sum will be 0. And this is called their additive inverse. And in words, it says any number added to its opposite, their sum will be 0. The commutative property says if I have numbers 3 and 4 and I add them together, then they are also equal to 4 plus 3. So it doesn't matter what two add-ins I'm adding together. I can say any number added to another number is always going to be equal to that number plus the first number. So what you're doing with the commutative property is students learn that in the commutative property, position does not matter. The left side is almost a mirror image. It is a mirror image of the right side. The numbers beside the equal will always be the same. And the numbers on the outside will always be the same. So they're learning that the facts 3 plus 4 is equal to 4 plus 3. So when I teach commutative, I think mirror image. And the numbers switch positions on each side of the equal sign. The commutative property holds true for multiplication and addition only. So if I'm multiplying 4 times 5, then the opposite side of that is 5 times 4 has to be 20, because it doesn't matter what order I multiply in, I'm still going to get the same product. If I took 4 plus 5 plus 6 and I grouped 5 and 6 together, and then on the right side I said 4 plus 5 plus 6, and I grouped 4 and 5 together, students learned that regrouping in addition and multiplication does not change. So this would be 4 plus 11, and that is still equal to 9 plus 6. So this is called your associative property of addition. So associative, we think regrouping. Order stays the same, because if you look at the left side, you have 4, 5, 6, and on the right side, you have 4, 5, 6. So the position of the numbers do not change in associative. You're only changing what you group together. So A, B, C would be the same on each side. The only thing is if I grouped A and B together on the left side, then on the right side I would have to group B and C. The associative property holds true for addition and multiplication as well. So if I said 7 times 4 times 2, then that's going to equal 7 times 4 times 2. And if I multiplied 4 and 2 together on the right side, and another student might say that they had rather do 7 and 4. Either way, they're going to get the same answer when they multiply, because the associative property of multiplication holds true. These properties do not hold true for subtraction and division, because the order in which we subtract numbers and the order in which we divide numbers does matter. Students use what is called the substitution property The substitution property is used to evaluate expressions. For example, if I gave a student the expression 3x plus 7, it is an expression because it has no equal sign and it has no greater than or equal to, so it has a value. You cannot find the value of this expression unless they tell you x is equal to 4. So if they tell you that x is equal to 4, you take the value for 4 and you're going to substitute it in the place of x. So when we substitute, we get 3 times 4 plus 7, which gives me 12 plus 7. So now the value of the expression 3x plus 7 is 19.